First Contact and Alliance. The stars hung like distant beacons against the endless void as Captain Alina Reyes stood on the observation deck of the Earth Coalition vessel Harbinger. The experimental deep space explorer represented humanity's most ambitious venture beyond the solar system, equipped with the first functional Alcubierre drive that allowed faster-than-light travel. Alina brushed a strand of her dark hair behind her ear, her olive skin illuminated by the soft blue glow of the ship's lighting. "Captain, we've detected an anomaly at coordinates 227 Mark 84, Lieutenant Marcus Chen reported, his voice carrying across the bridge. "Energy signatures don't match anything in our database." Alina turned from the viewport and strode to the tactical station. "Show me." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a strange distortion in space approximately 2 light hours from their position. Within the distortion, energy readings pulsed irregularly. "It appears to be a vessel of some kind," Science Officer Dr. Aisha Okafor said, her fingers dancing across her console. "But the configuration doesn't match any known design. The energy signature suggests a propulsion system far more advanced than our own." Alina studied the readings. After 6 months in deep space, this was potentially humanity's first encounter with extraterrestrial intelligence. The significance wasn't lost on her. Yellow alert. "Helm, set an intercept course, 1/4 impulse. Communications, prepare first contact protocols." As the Harbinger approached the anomaly, details became clearer. It wasn't one ship but two, one pursuing the other. The lead vessel was smaller, its design organic and flowing, while the pursuer was angular and predatory, bristling with what were unmistakably weapon ports. "The smaller ship is sustaining damage," Tactical Officer Lieutenant Commander Raj Patel reported. "Their shields are failing. They're broadcasting some kind of signal, possibly a distress call." Alina's eyes narrowed. "Can we translate?" "Working on it," Communications Officer Ensign Sophia Diaz replied. "The Universal Translator is processing the language patterns now." The bridge fell silent as fragments of an alien voice filtered through the speakers, distorted and broken, but the fear in it was unmistakable. "Request asylum. Draken Hunters, peaceful research vessel. Please assist." Alina didn't hesitate. Red alert. "Shields up. Position us between the two vessels." The Harbinger surged forward, its shields shimmering into existence as it placed itself as a barrier between hunter and prey. The pursuing vessel, the Draken ship, immediately adjusted course, clearly surprised by the human intervention. "We're being hailed by the pursuing vessel," Sophia announced. On screen, the view screen flickered, revealing a reptilian figure with copper-colored scales and vertical slit eyes. The alien's jaw was lined with sharp teeth, visible as it spoke in a hissing accent. "Unknown vessel, this is Commander Vask of the Draken Acquisition Fleet. You interfere in a legitimate salvage operation. Remove yourself immediately." Alina stepped forward, shoulders squared. "This is Captain Alina Reyes of the Earth Coalition vessel Harbinger. We responded to a distress call. Your target has requested asylum." The Draken commander's eyes narrowed. "The Lumari vessel contains biological assets claimed by the Draken Imperium. This matter does not concern your species. When a ship requests assistance in Earth Coalition space, it becomes our concern," Alina replied evenly, though they were far beyond any officially claimed human territory. It was a bluff, but one delivered with unwavering confidence. "You claim this region." The Draken seemed taken aback. "Our records show no territorial agreements with your kind. Perhaps your records are incomplete. I suggest you withdraw while we examine the situation." The Draken commander hissed, revealing more teeth. "You make a dangerous enemy, human." The Draken do not forget. The transmission ended abruptly. "They're powering weapons," Raj warned. "Maintain position. Target their weapon systems only. Let's show them we're serious without starting an interstellar war." The Draken vessel fired first, energy beams lancing toward the Harbinger. The shields absorbed the impact, the ship trembling slightly. Shields holding at 82%, Raj reported. Their weapons technology is more advanced than ours. Return fire, disable only. The Harbinger's pulse cannons fired, striking the Draken vessel's primary weapon array with surgical precision. The alien ship shuddered, its firing pattern becoming erratic. After a tense standoff that lasted nearly 10 minutes, with both ships exchanging fire, the Draken vessel finally backed off, its damaged systems trailing energy plumes as it retreated. "They're moving away," Captain Raj confirmed. Setting course back to Draken space. Alina exhaled slowly. Maintain alert status. Open a channel to the Lumari vessel. The view screen changed to show the interior of the alien ship. The beings within were unlike anything humans had encountered before. They appeared almost crystalline, with translucent bodies that refracted light in rainbow patterns. They had no discernible facial features, yet somehow conveyed emotion through shifting colors that pulsed beneath their surface. "I am Captain Alina Reyes. Your ship is damaged. We offer assistance." The central figure's body flashed with blue and green patterns. "I am Navigator Ilarion of the Lumari Collective. We are grateful for your intervention." The voice was melodious, transmitted directly into the universal translator. "The Draken have hunted our kind for generations, harvesting our bioessence for their enhancement procedures." Bioessence. Dr. Okafor leaned forward, intrigued. "The Lumari evolved to synthesize complex organic compounds within our bodies," Ilarion explained. "We can cure diseases, regenerate tissue, extend lifespans. The Draken discovered this and began hunting us for these properties. We became livestock to them." Alina's jaw tightened. "Your ship is welcome to dock with ours. We can provide repairs and medical assistance." "Why would you help us?" Ilarion's body pulsed with cautious yellow. "You know nothing of our kind." Alina's response was simple. "Because it's the right thing to do. Earth Coalition believes in the right of all sentient species to exist free from exploitation." The next several days were a flurry of activity as the human crew worked to repair the Lumari vessel and tend to the injured aliens. Dr. Okafor spent most of her time in scientific exchange with the Lumari healers, returning to report to Alina with increasing excitement. "Captain, their medical knowledge is extraordinary," Aisha explained during one such briefing. "They've developed techniques that could revolutionize human medicine. Cancer, genetic disorders, even aging itself. They understand these processes at a fundamental level we've barely begun to explore." "And the Draken want this knowledge for themselves?" Alina asked. "Not just the knowledge. The Lumari themselves. Something about their biological makeup can't be synthesized. The Draken extract compounds directly from living Lumari tissue." Alina's expression darkened. "Harvesting sentient beings. That's not something humanity can stand by and allow." As repairs neared completion, Alina called a meeting with the Lumari leadership in the Harbinger's conference room. The crystalline beings cast prismatic patterns across the walls as they entered. "Navigator Ilarion, your ship will be space-worthy within 24 hours, Alina began. "But I'm concerned about your safety once you depart." Ilarion's body shifted to a somber indigo. "The Draken are persistent hunters. They will return with greater numbers. Then perhaps we should discuss a more permanent arrangement," Alina suggested. "The Earth Coalition would be interested in establishing formal diplomatic relations with the Lumari Collective." An alliance. The surprise was evident in Ilarion's sudden burst of bright colors. What would humans gain from such an arrangement? Commander Sarah Blackwood, the ship's XO, leaned forward. "Your medical knowledge alone would be invaluable to humanity. And in return, we can offer protection. The Draken may have more advanced technology, but humanity has numbers and determination. We're expanding rapidly, establishing colonies throughout this sector. And would your people truly commit to protecting ours?" Another Lumari asked, its colors skeptical. "The Draken are formidable enemies." Alina stood, her confidence unwavering. "Humanity has a long history of standing against bullies. If your people are willing, we can establish a joint outpost on the frontier, a place where humans and Lumari can work together, protected by Earth Coalition forces. The Lumari conferred among themselves, their bodies flickering with rapid color changes as they communicated in their native fashion. Finally, Alarian turned back to Alina. "We accept your proposal, Captain Reyes. The Lumari Collective officially requests alliance with the Earth Coalition." 6 months later, the joint human Lumari outpost Sanctuary was established on an uninhabited world near the border of Draken space. The facility combined human military technology with Lumari biological engineering, creating a self-sustaining environment protected by Earth Coalition's newest defense systems. Captain Alina Reyes, now promoted to Commodore and given command of the small defense fleet stationed at Sanctuary, stood in the central garden watching humans and Lumari working side by side. The crystalline aliens had designed the plant life, creating species that could purify air and water with unprecedented efficiency, while human engineers had built the habitat and defense grid. "Commodore," Lieutenant Commander Patel approached, tablet in hand. "Long-range sensors have detected Draken scout ships at the edge of the system. They're observing but haven't made any aggressive moves yet." Alina nodded, unsurprised. "They're assessing our defenses, trying to determine how serious we are about this alliance, and if they decide to test us." Alina watched as a human medical student listened intently to a Lumari healer explaining the properties of a glowing plant. Already, the alliance had yielded promising treatments for 3 previously incurable human diseases. "Then they'll learn what happens when someone threatens those under humanity's protection," she said quietly. "We've drawn a line in the stars, Raj, and we'll make damn sure the Draken understand. Humans, say at once, do not harm our allies." The Draken would return, she knew. And when they did, humanity would be ready to show the galaxy exactly how seriously they took their promises. Drawing the line. Commander Diego Santiago stood on the command deck of Sanctuary Station, watching the tactical display with the steady calm that had become his trademark during 15 years of military service. The holographic projection showed 5 Draken warships in formation at the edge of the system, more than twice the number of human vessels currently available for Sanctuary's defense. "They've been holding position for 6 hours now," Lieutenant Emma Frost reported, her fingers dancing across the tactical console. "No aggressive maneuvers, but they've deployed sensor drones throughout the system." Diego nodded, his weathered face impassive. 6 months had passed since Commodore Reyes had been recalled to Earth to brief the Coalition Council on the alliance with the Lumari. In her absence, Diego had assumed command of Sanctuary's defenses, overseeing the integration of Lumari biotechnology with human military systems. "They're mapping our sensor grid," Diego observed, "looking for blind spots." "Sir," Communications Officer Lieutenant Park interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission from the lead Draken vessel." On screen, the view screen flickered to life, revealing the copper-scaled visage of a Draken commander, more heavily adorned than the one they had encountered months before. The alien's vertical pupils contracted slightly in the light. "I am High Commander Xeric of the Draken Imperium's 7th Acquisition Fleet," the reptilian being announced, voice carrying the characteristic hiss of his species. "I address the human commander of this illegal outpost." Diego stepped forward. "Commander Diego Santiago, Earth Coalition Defense Force. There's nothing illegal about our presence here, High Commander. This system falls outside established Draken territory, according to galactic survey records." Xeric's jaw flexed, displaying rows of serrated teeth and what might have been a smile. "Semantics. We claim the Lumari as our biological resource. Their presence under your protection constitutes theft of Draken property." Behind Diego, one of the Lumari representatives, Healer Nolaris, shifted colors in what he had learned was indignation. The crystalline being had become an invaluable liaison between the humans and Lumari at Sanctuary. "The Lumari are a sentient species and allies of the Earth Coalition," Diego replied evenly. "They are not property. Your species is new to interstellar politics, Commander, Zarek said with dismissive condescension. You do not understand the established order. The strong claim what they need from the weak. This has been the way of space for millennia. Diego's expression remained neutral, though his dark eyes hardened. Perhaps it's time for a new way. The Earth Coalition recognizes the rights of all sentient beings to self-determination. Noble sentiments, Zarek mocked, but ultimately futile. I have been authorized to offer terms. Remove your forces from this system and return the Lumari to our custody. In exchange, the Draken Imperium will grant humans limited access to technologies far beyond your current capabilities. And if we refuse, Zarek's scales rippled along his neck in what appeared to be amusement. Then we will take what is ours by force. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Commander, your primitive vessels cannot stand against the full might of a Draken acquisition fleet. Diego allowed a slight smile. We'll take our chances. Earth has a saying, High Commander, come and take it. Zarek's expression shifted to one of cold fury. You have 6 of your Earth hours to reconsider. After that, we will begin acquisition procedures. The transmission ended abruptly. Well, that went about as expected, Diego remarked, turning to face his officers and the Lumari representative. Nularis's crystalline body pulsed with anxious purple patterns. Commander Santiago, the Draken do not make idle threats. Their technology is significantly more advanced than Earth's. Perhaps we should consider evacuating our people. Diego shook his head. This is your home now, Nularis. We're not abandoning it at the first sign of trouble. He turned to his tactical officer. Lieutenant Frost, what's the status of Project Theion? Emma glanced at her console. The integration is at 94% completion. Sir, Dr. Chen believes it will be fully operational within 3 hours. That'll have to do. Begin evacuation of all non-essential personnel to the underground shelters and contact Earth Coalition Command. Let them know we may need reinforcements. As the command deck erupted into activity, Diego gestured for Nularis to follow him to a private briefing room. Once inside, the commander activated a secure holographic display showing a detailed schematic of Sanctuary Station and its defenses. The Draken are expecting a conventional military response, Diego explained, but we've been preparing for this possibility since we established Sanctuary. Nularis shifted closer, light refracting through his crystalline form as he studied the display. These modifications, you've integrated Lumari biotechnology into your defense systems. Diego nodded. Dr. Chen and your engineers have been working on it for months. Project Theion, a hybrid defense system that combines human military hardware with Lumari biological components. But our technology is primarily focused on healing, not warfare, Nularis objected, his colors shifting to a concerned yellow. Sometimes the best defense is knowing exactly how to counter an attack, Diego replied. Your people's understanding of biological systems has allowed us to create countermeasures to Draken weapons that we couldn't have developed on our own. The next hours passed in a blur of preparation. Throughout Sanctuary, humans and Lumari worked side by side, securing systems and preparing for the coming conflict. In the medical bay, Lumari healers created specialized compounds to treat potential injuries, while in the engineering section, human technicians made final adjustments to the station's defenses. With 1 hour remaining before the Draken deadline, Diego gathered his senior staff in the command center. The tactical display showed that 3 more Draken vessels had joined the formation. They're bringing in reinforcements, Lieutenant Frost observed grimly. 8 warships against our 3. Numbers aren't everything, Diego replied. He turned to Chief Engineer Dr. Mai Chen. Status of Project Theion. The engineer's tired face broke into a determined smile. Online and fully operational, Commander. The Lumari biotechnology has integrated perfectly with our defense grid. And the special modifications to the Defiant. Complete. Lieutenant Rodriguez has volunteered to pilot. Diego nodded, facing his assembled officers. The Draken are expecting us to either surrender or attempt a frontal defense. Instead, we're going to show them that humanity doesn't play by the expected rules. He activated the tactical display. Lieutenant Rodriguez will take the Defiant on what appears to be an escape trajectory. The Draken will almost certainly dispatch vessels to intercept. Meanwhile, he continued, we'll activate Project Theion the moment they move into attack position against Sanctuary. The Lumari bioadaptive shielding should absorb their initial weapons barrage, while simultaneously analyzing and adapting to their energy signatures. Frost frowned. Sir, even with the enhanced shields, we can't withstand a prolonged attack from 8 warships. We don't need to, Diego replied. We just need to hold long enough for Rodriguez to deploy the Defiant's payload. As the deadline approached, Diego returned to the command deck. The view screen activated automatically as a transmission came in from the Draken flagship. Your time has expired, Commander. High Commander Xeric announced. What is your decision? Diego stood tall, hands clasped behind his back. The Earth Coalition's position remains unchanged. The Lumari are under our protection. We will not surrender them, or this outpost. Xeric's scales darkened with anger. Then you have chosen destruction. The transmission cut off. Draken vessels are powering weapons, Frost reported. They're moving into attack formation. Launch the Defiant, Diego ordered. Initiate Project Theion. The small human corvette detached from Sanctuary's docking bay, immediately accelerating away from the station, as if attempting to escape. As predicted, 3 Draken vessels broke off from the main group to pursue. The remaining 5 Draken warships opened fire on Sanctuary. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes struck the station's shields, which glowed with an unusual iridescent pattern, the hallmark of the Lumari biotechnology integration. Shields holding at 87%. Frost reported, surprise evident in her voice. The adaptive matrix is working. It's actually learning from each hit. On the tactical display, Diego watched as the Defiant led its pursuers on a chase through the system's asteroid field. Lieutenant Rodriguez was executing the plan perfectly, weaving through the dense field with precision that kept the larger Draken vessels constantly adjusting their course. Sanctuary shuddered as the Draken intensified their attack, focusing their fire on what they perceived as weak points in the station's defenses. Shields at 62%. Frost updated, but the adaptation is continuing. Each subsequent hit from the same weapon type is doing less damage. Status of the Defiant, Diego asked. Approaching deployment coordinates in 30 seconds. The command deck fell silent as all eyes turned to the tactical display. The Defiant had led its 3 pursuers into a particularly dense cluster of asteroids, slowing dramatically as if suffering engine problems. Defiant reports ready for deployment, communications reported. Diego took a deep breath. Execute. On the display, the Defiant suddenly accelerated, leaving behind a cluster of small objects among the asteroids. Before the Draken vessels could react, the objects activated, releasing an electromagnetic pulse specifically calibrated to the frequency of Draken shield systems. The pulse was followed by a cloud of microscopic Lumari-engineered organisms that targeted the specific alloys used in Draken hull construction. The effect was immediate and devastating. All 3 pursuing Draken vessels suddenly lost power, their shields collapsing as their hulls began to corrode at an accelerated rate. It worked, Chen exclaimed. The biocorrosive agent is breaking down their hull integrity exactly as we calculated. Diego nodded grimly. Inform the Draken flagship of their vessel's situation. Let them know that the corrosion process can be halted, but only with the application of a specific compound that we possess. On the main view screen, High Commander Xeric's expression shifted from confidence to shock as he received reports of his disabled ships. What have you done? He demanded. Demonstrated that technological superiority isn't everything, Diego replied calmly. Your ships are being consumed by an engineered microorganism that specifically targets Draken hull materials. In approximately 15 minutes, they'll breach containment on the antimatter power cores. Exaric's vertical pupils widened. You're bluffing. I've transmitted the sensor data to your flagship. See for yourself. Diego leaned forward. I'm offering terms, High Commander. Withdraw your forces from this system and formally recognize the sovereignty of the Lumari people and their alliance with Earth. In exchange, we'll neutralize the microorganisms and restore your vessels. The Draken commander's scales rippled with fury. This is biological warfare. This is drawing a line, Diego corrected. The Earth Coalition has made its position clear. The Lumari are our allies. We will not allow them to be hunted or harvested. Today we demonstrated our resolve with a targeted, non-lethal response. Next time, it may not be so measured. After a tense negotiation, the Draken agreed to withdraw. Human and Lumari medical teams were dispatched to the affected Draken vessels with the neutralizing agent, while the remainder of the Draken fleet maintained a respectful distance. 3 days later, as the last Draken warship departed the system, Diego stood in Sanctuary's observation dome with Nolaris, watching the distant pinpoint of light fade against the backdrop of stars. They will return eventually, Nolaris noted, his crystalline body reflecting the starlight in patterns of thoughtful blue. The Draken are not known for accepting defeat gracefully. Probably, Diego agreed, but next time they'll come with respect, and possibly diplomats instead of warships. Because of one victory, Diego shook his head. Because today they learned something important about humanity. We say it once, do not harm our allies, and we mean it. 6 months later, a formal treaty was signed between the Earth Coalition, the Lumari Collective, and, surprisingly, the Draken Imperium. The document, which became known as the Sanctuary Accord, established recognized territories for all 3 species and created a framework for peaceful interaction. Commodore Elena Reyes, returned from Earth with a full battle group that proved unnecessary, stood beside Commander Santiago as representatives from 12 other species arrived at the expanded Sanctuary Station to discuss joining the emerging alliance. You knew the Draken would back down, she observed quietly as they watched the procession of alien dignitaries. Diego's eyes remained on the Draken representative, now stripped of military ranks and serving in a diplomatic capacity. I knew they'd respect strength and innovation. It's the foundation of their culture. We just needed to show them that humanity possesses both, and that we stand by our promises, Elena added. Especially that, Diego agreed. In this galaxy of ancient species and complex politics, that might just be humanity's most powerful contribution. We say what we mean, and we mean what we say. As the galactic representatives filed into the newly constructed Grand Chamber, the message spread throughout the stars. Align with humans, and you gain protectors who would cross the universe to keep their word. Threaten those under human protection, and face a species whose determination and ingenuity made them formidable despite their relative technological disadvantages. The line had been drawn, and the galaxy had noticed.